Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. I've seen a lot of videos recently being uploaded about RO and HMA. I wanted to do my own take on it and how I've managed to set up the system so that I can put it into a container or straight into a tank and it's already mixed. So let's take a closer look. But before I do that, I thought you guys might like to look at the angelfish and have a quick update on them. So the angels I've had now for almost 4 weeks. They have grown substantially since I first got them, and they're almost ready to go into the big tank. The Reminos, I had one hiccup with them, but it was minor. It was only caught on camera for a split second, and since that incident I've had no issues with them. Next video I will be putting the angels into the big tank because they will be ready. They're eating great. I've cut down on the water changes. The water changes I've been doing now every other day, and feeding I've only been doing 2 or 3 times a day because they get into that stage now where they don't need constant food. So back to the RO. What is RO? What is RODI? Well, RODI stands for reverse osmosis. RODI stands for reverse osmosis. Shut the f*** up. RODI stands for reverse osmosis deionized. The first section of a RODI system is basically the same as a HMA filter. You've got your sediment and 2 carbons, usually 2 carbons. In mine, I've got a 1 micron sediment filter and I've got 2 carbon blocks. And after the carbon blocks, it then goes on to the RO membrane. Now you can have different ratings in the RO membrane. And basically all that means is how much water you're making a day. Mine, I believe, is a 350 gallon per day rating. After the RO membrane, it then goes down to the DI. And the DI resin is what basically polishes your water. So out of the RO membrane, you're usually looking at below 10 parts per million. If it rises above 10 parts per million and you've had it for a while, it usually means that you should start looking at replacing your RO membrane. If your RO membrane is brand new and you're seeing over 10 parts per million, check the connections because there might be something going on because it should be below 10 parts per million. Now coming out of your RO membrane, you'll have 2 pipes. Your waste and the one that leads to your DI. Now the waste will basically take out all the concentrated water and put it down the drain. You can actually add another RO membrane onto that and make the parts per million drop even further. It makes it more efficient doing that way, but in mine, I've not got that. Now with my setup, what I've done is I've teed off between the HMA filter and the RO membrane, and also after the DI. So I've got 2 ball valves coming off of each tee. The first one is basically so that I can turn it on and off without having to worry about it. The second one is what you would crucially need to dial in your mix. After the 2 ball valves on each tee, it then goes into a Y piece. Now this Y piece is basically what merges the 2 waters together so that you can use it in each tank. I've also teed off on the line that produces the de-ionized water. That tee and pipe is basically for me to be able to top up all of the tanks around the fish room after it's evaporated. Now there's lots of other accessories that you can get for your RO system, one of which is my inline TDS meter. So currently, because this is off, it's sitting at 11 TDS. But once that gets going, that drops down to about 7. My water hardness out of the tap is 260 parts per million. That's chewable. Unfortunately, my third one is broken, so it's not giving me an accurate reading. And this is where a TDS pen comes in. And this, guys, is a TDS pen. If I turn it on, it will say 0 because it's not in any water. It also measures the temperature, currently 25.5 degrees Celsius, that is. If I hit hold, that will keep that number. So if I can't see the screen, I can put it in, wait 10 seconds, hold it, and that will tell me what it is when I pull it back out. So let's test some tanks. So we just turn it on, put it in, and read it. At the moment, this tank, which is my big tank, is at 136 TDS, which is about right. Another thing that I have on mine is I have 2 DI canisters. That basically gives me more time before I need to swap out the DI, because I'm lazy, basically. So once one gets used up, the other one starts to get used up more, but it gives me a low TDS, basically 0 TDS, longer.
One question you may be thinking is, what kind of flow rate will I get out of an RO system? This is the pre-mixed pipe. This is the mix that I managed to get. Now, both ball valves are slightly closed, so it's not a maximum flow, but it's the flow that I want to be able to achieve the levels that I want.
So this is the rate of it coming out from the DI and straight into the water butt. Now this water butt, it just holds DI water. The reason why I've got this water butt as well as the mixed pipe is so that I can control what goes into each one of my planted tanks. Once I fill that water butt up with DI, I then use a product called Remineralisation. Now Remineralisation is great. It basically adds the GH and the KH back to the DI, but it doesn't add anything else. So it doesn't add phosphates or iron or nitrates. That I use my estimated index fertilizers to increase. And I'll go further into why I use estimated index in another video. But after your water's gone through the RODI system, you're left with no nitrates, no phosphates, or no iron, nothing basically. It's stripped of everything and it is just pure H2O. So I've got my RODI system plugged into the mains water via an inline connector. This connector basically tees off the main. One goes to the washing machine and the other goes to my RO system. I've also got a pump which helps with the pressure. If your pressure isn't high enough, you won't be producing the optimized amount rated for your RO membrane. You'll be wasting a lot more as well. This pump has 2 pressure sensors on it. One's high pressure and one's low pressure. The high pressure one turns the pump off when the pressure gets above, I believe it's 120 psi. The low pressure one turns the pump on when the pressure gets below 100 psi. I've also got various ball valves around the system which allow me to turn it off and on when I need it and when I don't need it. It's important to turn your RO system off when you're not using it, because if you turn it off where you're producing water, that won't stop the water going through. The water will just bypass the system basically and go through the waste. So you're basically just pouring a load of water down the drain. The reason why I use RODI water, because it allows me to not only control what goes into each one of my tanks, it also allows me to keep soft water species that require soft water, because the water around here is so disgusting and so hard that you can basically chew it. So if you've already got soft water, an RO system is probably not going to help you much. But what you can make use of is a HMA filter. And that's basically, as I said at the beginning of the video, the first section, your sediment and your 2 carbons. After that, you can pretty much just put it straight into your tank and it will get rid of chlorine and chloramines, and you won't need to use De-Chlorinator. So that's it, guys. I hope this video helped you understand what RODI is and how to set one up so that you can get it to work for your specific needs. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next week where we'll put the angelfish into the big tank.